I'm told that France-Croatia game, the result still 0-0, started about 10 minutes ago or so. And on that note, that's all we have time for in terms of sports. And at this moment, we want to get into a big interview. Remember, tonight we have the Jubilee Party Secretary General, Raphael Tuju, and I'll be speaking with him shortly. And thereafter, I'll also speak with the Deputy Secretary General of the party, Caleb Kositani. I did speak with Honorable Tuju a bit early on in the program. Some of you already tweeting quite a bit about that. Let's look at two or so tweets that we're putting up right now. Gaido Waweru saying Tuju has turned Jubilee House to his home. Not all members of the Jubilee Party are welcome there. A protest, it seems. And another tweet here. Remember, the hashtag is NEWSNIGHT. Mundia Samuel is asking, kindly ask our beloved SG, what is he doing to bring unity among the Jubilee Party leadership? What measures has he taken to solve the issues that affect Jubilee? Or is he adding salt onto the injury? Let's bring the party's Secretary General into the conversation right now, and I'll give him a chance to respond to that, but also ask him this. Secretary General, and again, thank you for waiting for this moment. We spoke a bit earlier about the battle between two leaders, the party leader and the deputy party leader. As Secretary General, do you think the party will survive this battle? Will it survive a split?
Of course, the party is going to survive, but Mr. Maura, let me just take you back to the question you asked me a little bit earlier. How did we get this low? I think we're all part of the problem, including you as the media. I've had the privilege of working with some of the best, gentle, very sharp intellectuals from the Kalenjin community. Indeed, if you go into the cabinet, the tribe which is most represented in the cabinet is the Kenyans. There are four of them. I mean, when you leave the deputy president out of this, no other community is represented to that level. I mean, if you're talking about, you know, my former colleague in the media, Farida Karone, a real intellectual. She's got a PhD. She does her work very well. You can see what work she's doing in the Ministry of Lands. Mr. Chelugui, or Honorable Chelugui, you can talk about Betty Maina. I know a lot of people think Betty Maina because of the name. She is Kikuyu, but she's actually from the Kalenjin community. We have Honorable Keter, our Minister for Energy. Brilliant people working very hard. Four of them in the cabinet. No other community has got that number in the cabinet. Instead of bringing us people like those, some of the finest people I've ever worked with are from the Kalenjin community. Instead of bringing us people like those, you keep on bringing us these intellectual dwarfs who are using the names, claiming to be representing Kalenjins, but there's some intellectual dwarfs. And I think you're spoiling for the Kalenjin community. The media is also responsible for this kind of thing.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand what you mean. They're bringing first of all, I don't think anyone appreciates the term intellectual dwarfs. I think everyone believes in their intellectual capacity.
No. I mean, I don't appreciate it either. But the species of people who use vulgar language against our First Lady, those are intellectual dwarfs. If somebody is in their right mind, they cannot be talking about the former First Lady like that.
Okay, fair enough. And I take you back to the first point that you made, and I've given you a chance to weigh in on what you said you needed to do. And you are very confident tonight that the Jubilee Party is still intact, while many out there are saying, one of the tweets that we saw earlier, it's on its deathbed. Some out there are even writing an obituary, quote unquote, for the Jubilee Party, that it cannot survive this current turbulent period. Assure the Jubilee Party supporters tonight that there is a future.
Well, you know, the thing is that, of course, people are entitled to their opinions. We have Jubilee Party still running this country. It is still a Jubilee government. But as we have said before, and the President has said before, this country is more important than Jubilee Party or any other party. What is important is that we bring unity in this country. Even if we're to lose unity in Jubilee Party so as to bring unity in this country, that is still a higher goal. And that's one of the reasons why the President took the extraordinary step of pursuing the handshake. And now we're going into the season of trying to get the BBI to be rolled out. That is because we believe that this country is bigger than Jubilee Party.
And it's a fair point that you bring in. This country...
If people are finding this contradictory, I think it is important that they get it around their head somehow.
Let me actually...
Kenya is bigger than any single party.
And I want to interrogate you a bit further on that. This party is bigger than, the country rather, is bigger than the Jubilee Party. Now, many of the Kenyans who are watching this program tonight have pressing issues. Let me give you some statistics. 1.7 million Kenyans possibly watching this show tonight lost their jobs because of COVID-19. And the unemployment numbers even before COVID-19 were quite as dire. We know that 75% of small SMEs and businesses, as was predicted by CBK, would not have been able to operate past June. I think you can get where we are coming from. Some watching the program tonight have been evicted, lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods. They're not in a good space. They are watching you tonight as the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, the ruling party, and they are asking for the remaining 2 years of the Jubilee Party, because no one knows what will happen after 2022 and who will be president. Do you have answers to the pressing problems that they face? How would you respond to them tonight?
Mr. Maura, that's an excellent question. And indeed, when you're talking about Kenyans losing jobs, I've laid off some of my workers. I've laid off something like 45 members of staff. It was a very, very painful experience even for me. I mean, I've been in business for 30 years. There's no time when I laid off more staff than I've done this time. I've had more than 100 employees for the last 30 years. But for the first time, I sent people home. Now, this is not only happening in Kenya, it's happening all over the world. In the United States, they're talking in terms of millions, close to 20 million who have lost jobs. And this is all because of the COVID-19. I wish that all of us should be concentrating on how to mitigate the challenges that we are facing in terms of jobs, in terms of businesses running, in terms of ensuring that we have that safety net for our people, instead of engaging in this kind of cheap politics all the time, instead of engaging in all the, pull and push in the political arena, as if we don't have a crisis of the proportions you're talking about.
Secretary, you're the Secretary General of the party. You're speaking like an outsider when you say you wish. You're in charge of that party, Secretary, quite a high position. What answers does the party have for Kenyans at this time, beyond wishes?
Well, first of all, I congratulate you that for the first time you're bringing out the issues that we should be talking about, not about some of the what some crazy people have said in different parts of the country. But of course, every other day you see all the things that are being done by the government in terms of trying to deal with the problem of ensuring that, back to school. We are trying to deal with the problem of COVID-19, which is a global problem. It's not just a Kenyan problem. In many respects, I mean, the president has had to make some very, very hard decisions. Do we open up or do we close more businesses in the restaurants and those kind of things? So it's not easy. It's not easy for Kenya. It's not easy for anywhere in the world. I mean, until recently, there were no international flights. I think the international flights just started the other day. There's nothing that Jubilee as a government could do which is different from what all other countries are doing. Whether you're talking about Japan, the United States, Europe, I mean, the UK for the first time there, the economy contracted by about 20%. Mm-hmm. So you can't say that this is just a Kenyan problem. No, not at all.
But Secretary, is it fair to blame the challenges that Kenya currently faces on something as short-term as COVID-19? Were many of these problems not already evident before the coronavirus pandemic? And let me give you an example. Just tonight, Senate, or earlier today, Senate's an ad hoc committee releases a report that questions a multi-billion shilling investment in the Managed Equipment Services scheme. Tonight, they're actually calling for prosecution of an investigation for many of those who are involved in that particular scheme. And this was a Jubilee pet project. That is what Kenyans are concerned about, Secretary, beyond COVID-19.
We have had several programs which have run into problems, not only this one, but when you talk about corruption, for example, the corruption problem that we've had in this country is one of the things that the president is fighting very hard. And every time action is taken, unfortunately, again, you hear ethnic warlords claiming that they're being targeted, all kinds of shenanigans going on in this area. So where there's corruption, it has to be dealt with. Whether it is at KEMSA, whether it is at the maize produce board, whether it is in the energy sector, whatever sector we have corruption, we have to address it. It's a dragon that we have to fight, and this president has made it one of his agenda to ensure that he deals with corruption as he deals with the other problems that we have in this country, including ethnic strife, ethnic conflicts, because some of those ethnic conflicts are some of the things which make corruption even worse, because as soon as you touch Raphael Tuju, then Tuju runs back to his ethnic community to try and get protection so that he does not address the corruption that he's being accused of. You know, all these things are intertwined, and we should be honest about it.
Secretary, and I know you took over that office in 2017. Some feel, however, that the war on corruption has started a little too late, that if this war had begun during the first term of the Jubilee Party, things may have been different. In fact, many still question that statement by your boss, the party leader, very publicly at State House, that what do you expect me to do? A question that he posed to Kenyans. In your view, did the war start too late?
You know, the Chinese have a saying that the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The next best time to do it is now, if you didn't do it 10 years ago.
And you're going to leave it at that. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about your office. Yes. You're the Secretary General in charge of, among other things, communication within the Jubilee Party. And there have been a lot of questions on the state of communication within your party because an impression has been created. And let me paint for you a picture, Sec Gen. The voice of David Murathe has come out quite clearly as, in a sense, some would even say the spokesperson of the Jubilee Party. And tonight I want to know from you, and I had him on the show last week, does he represent the voice of the party when he speaks? Does he represent the voice of the party leader?
I'm the official spokesman for the party. Now that means that when I make any statement, normally I would ensure that I'm not speaking just my opinion, I'm speaking the position of the party. But other members of the party have got the freedom to articulate things the way they look at them. Within the party, you may have factions, people supporting different members of the party for one reason or another. The media also plays it up, including the citizen television. If you know I'm the spokesman for the party, then what you try to do strategically is to have me speak, and then after that bring my deputy to try and contradict what I've said. But that is Kenya. We are learning.
I don't think the intention was to try and contradict. We are aware that Jubilee Party seems to have a division of sorts, and it's important for balance to have both sides of the story. You are a former journalist, a current journalist actually. They say a journalist never retires, and you know that those are the rules of the media. But you make a fair point. Nevertheless, I would then want to know from you about this.
Yeah, but I agree with you. You know, it's nice that you say that I'm a member of the media. Really, I still write some scripts, so you can give me a job one of these days. But the truth of the media also is that you need conflict. So, like tonight, you want to have some conflict. You have me as Secretary General without telling me. I hear it on air that I'm going to have the Deputy Secretary General to say different things from what I'm saying. So that conflict, of course, is good entertainment for you. There's nothing I can do about that. That is the name of the game.
Secretary, it's not about entertainment. It's about getting both sides of the story. If we wanted entertainment, we'd have brought on the Deputy Secretary right now to respond to you, and we're not. We're being professional in this. So please, I want you to rethink that statement. But one last point on David Murathe, who we had here last week.
No, Maura, you better also have a thick skin. I'm criticizing the media, and you criticize us. This is one of the things that we expect to happen in this country.
Fair enough. I will push back when I feel the need to. But tell me one last thing, Sec Gen. When we had the Vice Chair on the program last week, he strongly called for Kenyans to consider Raila Odinga, using the words a Mandela moment or a Mandela type as a possible next president to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta. David Murathe is the vice chair of the Jubilee party. When he makes a statement like that, is he speaking on behalf of the party? Is he speaking?
That is his opinion. I think he should. That is his opinion. I think he should get the cue from the president. I think the last time the president talked about this, he said it very clearly. Wacha hao wengine wajipange na sisi tunajipanga. As Jubilee Party, we are organizing ourselves, and the other parties can organize themselves.
So is it then not fair to say that your party has become a Tower of Babel? Influential leaders all saying different things. What are Kenyans to believe anymore?
There's music coming in the background, so I hope you're still listening.
I am. Go ahead.
Listening.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, Secgen.
There's music in the background, so I don't know what to do. But let me try and complete, even though there's that music in the background. We have a party leader, and what the party leader says is the position of the party. The party leader has told us very clearly that wengine wajipange na sisi tunajipanga. They are organizing their parties, we are organizing ourselves. Our vice chair is free to, air his opinions. And I remember that when he made those statements, he was criticized by some other members of the party who are also free to criticize him in that way. And that's normal. That's in a democracy.
Okay. Of course, Secgen, you have...
Of course, you have... maybe I finish. Of course, you have conveniently called it did you say Tower of Babel? That's again a literal license that you have. You can call it the Tower of Babel. I call it democracy. It's just a matter of semantics here, my friend.
Okay. And you've said that you are the only spokesperson that we should... honor in terms of what statements come from you as opposed to what statements come from other people. Let me ask you this. In addition to being the Secgen, you're also...
That's not because of what I say, and that is not because of what I prefer. That is what the constitution of the party says. And for that reason, I avoid as much as possible not to air my opinions. I state the position of the party. And even tonight, as I talk to you, I've consulted widely within the party. I told you at the beginning of this program, I even called the deputy president himself and asked him some of these statements coming from Sudi and claiming to talk on his behalf. What does he have to say about it? I talked with the deputy president this evening before coming here.
Would there be a plan, and it's one of the questions that's coming up, for the deputy president to meet with the president rather than, and there's nothing wrong with you going to see him, to actually iron this out? Is that something that's on the table? What plan does Jubilee have? What mechanisms would it have to sort a dispute of this nature, which many feel is getting out of hand?
Well, a meeting between the deputy president and the president is above my pay grade, as I've said before. But a meeting between me and the deputy president is just the two of us to discuss about that. And we normally do talk whenever it's necessary. And I've scheduled a meeting with him next week. If he has time, we'll talk about it. But something like this, I could not wait with this. That's why I had to call him about it, because it is despicable.
Okay, let's move this along a little bit. I was saying a bit earlier on that as Secgen, you also sit as a member of the cabinet, and a debate has erupted about the involvement of CSs in politics, with Environment CS Keriako Tobiko actually being quoted as calling the deputy president a clerk of the president. Now, two things here to you, Secgen. First of all, should a CS call a deputy president a clerk? What does that mean for the office of the deputy president? And is there anything that Jubilee will do to address that?
Well, that's so interesting, and it's such an interesting matter. I've had the deputy president himself call himself "mi ndio mtu wa mkono wa huyu rais." So when Tobiko calls him a clerk, and the deputy president himself says yeye ni mtu wa mkono, what's the issue here? Semantics.
You don't think it demeans the office, and I'm being very specific here, the office of the deputy president, a constitutional office.
And I'm being very, very clear on this. I'm being very clear on this. The deputy president himself, several times publicly, talking in the presence of the president, He says, mimi ndio mtu wa mkono wa huu president. Yeye ni mtu wa mkono. He says that. So when Tobiko says he's a clerk, and Tobiko himself also says he's also a clerk, even myself, very often when I I've been sent by the president somewhere, I say, mimi nimetumwa. Mimi ni mtumishi. I think this kind of language is a reflection of a certain amount of humility, and we should not put it out of context, really. I think we should be discussing more important things, especially on your very expensive airtime.
Okay, that's an interesting point you brought up. Nevertheless, the Deputy President's supporters have not seen it the way you see it. They don't like the tone. They are concerned about the meaning behind that. And words have meanings depending on how they are said as well. Again, you say, in your view, it was not demeaning. It did not bring down the office of the Deputy President, a constitutional office.
Let me tell you also something. If you are respected, you are respected. You don't force people to respect you. And the office of the Deputy President, he is the Deputy President. He doesn't have to stand up and tell people, I'm the Deputy President. He is the Deputy President. If you're a minister, you are the minister. You don't have to tell people, I am the minister. They know you are the minister. Even if you call yourself a clerk. You can call yourself a clerk, a sweeper, whatever the case may be. But you are the minister. Why should we spend so much time on this?
Why should we spend so much time? I think one of the reasons is that it has come on the back of juniors, quote unquote, of the Deputy President, people who are not at the caliber of Deputy Party Leader, demeaning him. And I believe the Deputy President and his followers have had issues with that. But one would also ask then tonight, do you have any concerns about cabinet secretaries who are involved in politics or attending functions that eventually turn to be political against the wishes of the party leader?
I think it's a very important point you raise. If you look at the Constitution, the Constitution stops, all civil servants and public officers from being engaged in politics except cabinet secretaries. Because cabinet secretaries are political appointees, and their job is to expound on, public positions on behalf of the president. So they are exempted. If you look, there's a chapter which specifically says they are exempted from that provision. Check it up.
Okay.
And let anybody contradict me.
So what we saw in Kajiado, in your view, when we saw 3 CSs there, for all purposes, that looked like a political function.
The CSs are the only public officials who are exempted by the Constitution and law to participate in politics.
Okay. And I'll go and have a look at that. Even as we wrap this up.
Go and have a look.
I will go have a look at that. Moving forward and looking ahead, what does the journey...
I know that because it came up in 2017 during the election. So I personally had to deal with that matter, and I got it clarified.
Okay. I said, looking forward, what does the future look like for the Jubilee Party?
There's a lot of noise coming. There's a lot of noise coming from your side, so I'm losing you. There's some interference.
Is this any better? Can you hear me now, Secretary?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Now you can hear me. I'm asking you, what does the future look like for the Jubilee Party? Will the handshake lead to a political formation? Could we see a merger possibly between Jubilee and ODM? What does the future look like?
I think the handshake was very important for this country, in the sense that it brought us an amazing level of calm. It stopped a confrontation which had been active for many, many decades. And everything that the handshake brought was positive. I mean, the shilling stabilized, the stock market stabilized. We have less riots in the streets of Nairobi because of this or that, because, President Uhuru and Prime Minister Raila Odinga are able to talk about some of these challenges so that people don't have to solve it in the streets. They are solved in boardrooms, and we have discussions and so forth. That's very positive. It is good for the country. Is it good for Jubilee? maybe we can debate that. But is it good for the country? I think that is what is important.
It's definitely not good for the deputy president and those who support him. In fact, just the other day, we saw a prominent party member, former governor of Kiambu County, William Kabogo, saying the handshake, as all-embracing as it should have been, somehow fell short of embracing the deputy party leader of Jubilee.
You know, the deputy party leader, that's my friend and deputy party leader, William Ruto, has a history with Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and that, I think, is something which could be at play on this. But, you know, the country is more important than our individual positions. I have a history with Raila Odinga. It would have been inconceivable to see me and Raila in the same political position. But when it comes to peace for this country, progress for this country, viability of this country, then we should be able to put aside our differences.
Okay, fair point. And any last, I want to give you a chance just to have a last word, the future of the party, and a night when many question the future of the party, you still insist tonight that the party is intact moving forward. Well, the deputy president is still the deputy president and is still the deputy party leader. Mm-hmm. If some of his supporters are a little bit uncomfortable with certain situations, it's probably because of a little bit of not understanding much what the constitution of the party says. Mm-hmm. Indeed, the deputy president, and I've had these discussions with him before several times, he is not, according to our constitution, the automatic flag bearer for 2022. According to the constitution, it says that he has to go through primaries, and he has stated several times that he's ready to subject himself to that primary. And that primary does not put into any consideration any kind of deal that may have been there between him and the president. That is something that you cannot hold anybody to account on, because, I mean, the history of this country, I remember Raila saying Kibaki tosha. Now, that could not entitle him to becoming the successor of President Kibaki. But in the history books, we also know that the late Jaramogi Odinga who said no Kenyatta, no Uhuru, at a time when nobody could say that. But that did not make him automatically the successor of President Kenyatta. So, it's just like in a marriage. For example, you go to church and your own daughter swears before the Bible, and and God is swearing with the Bible to God in front of everybody in the church that for better or for worse we will never separate. But then if your daughter is being bashed in her marriage and she could die in the process, you'll be the first one to tell your daughter, please get out of that marriage. Then you don't tell them that because you had swore in front of church that this marriage has to continue, it has to continue. The same thing in politics. There could have been some swearing of some sort among friends, but there's no way by which you can make the party to be accountable to that. And I think the deputy president is aware of this, and I believe that he will subject himself to members of the party to be nominated. If he wins the nomination, we will support him. I will be the first one to support him if he wins the nomination. It almost sounds like you're preparing for the exit of a number of members of the party. I mean, you gave that analogy with quite some zest.
No. I think I'm just giving Kenyans real-life examples.
Speaking of real-life examples, we've seen KANU stating that they are looking to possibly expel Joanna Ngeno. Might that happen for Jubilee and Oscar Sudi?
Well, that will depend on what the disciplinary committee decides to take up. I don't direct them normally.
Okay, they're seized of the matter nevertheless.
Come again?
Are they seized of the matter? Are you aware that that's something they're taking into consideration?
Not to my knowledge as by tonight. I don't know what tomorrow will bring.
Okay, thank you for that. I know journalists, we say finally many times. I think I've said finally almost 3 times. There we've had the Jubilee Party Secretary General, Raphael Tuju, giving his thoughts on the Jubilee Party, the state of the country, and of course, some of those utterances that we have heard over the last 48 hours or so. Here are a few of your thoughts before I bring in the Deputy Secretary General of the party, Caleb Kositani. This is what some of you are saying tonight. We have Javan 10 saying, all this political mess caused by Tuju and the company at Jubilee House, why have they refused to call a PG so that members can share their issues? No wonder they are so disappointed now. Wamechoka. Okay, that's one viewer's views tonight. Let's see what else Kenyans are saying online. Aquinas Nzomo says, it's very simple. CSs, stay away from politics. It's the reason why we choose to have technocrats and not politicians for the CS positions. All right, let's see what else you're saying. Remember, the hashtag is NEWSNIGHT. The SMS line is 22422. Gerald Njoroge says, CSs are politically appointed. They can engage in politics if need be. The Constitution does not prohibit them, but the presidency can establish its own administration policy or directive to have them not engage. And the last one here, this one coming from E. Baraza 80 says, if only disgruntled politicians learned tolerance, patience and positivity in the choice of uttered words, the country would have overcome the shenanigans of hate, tribalism, and warmongers. Okay, let's bring in the Deputy Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, Caleb Kositani. Thank you so much, Deputy Secretary, for your patience. Let me get straight into this. First of all, let me get your reaction. I want you to comment on those utterances by Oscar Sudi, Joanna Ngeno. We've seen you in a story alluding to those comments being inappropriate. Let's hear from you on this.
Well, Wahiga and our great Kenyan people, it is very unfortunate that the 2 members of parliament made those statements. I do not agree with their statements. And I want to state very clearly that those were personal statements. They did not speak on behalf of the Deputy President. They did not speak on behalf of the Kalenjin community. They spoke on their own personal behalf. I have listened to my SG there, Raphael Tuju, trying to profile the Kalenjin community and trying to bring in the name of the Deputy President into these utterances by Sudi and Ngeno. The Deputy President last spoke on Sunday. If he wants to speak, he will speak or he will tweet. And we do not, none of us has the mandate to speak on behalf of the Deputy President. And I think everybody should bear their own statements. And Wahiga, just to say a few, is that we as leaders need to watch the way we are approaching this issue. What is so satanic is what, as I have said, what Sudi and Ngeno said was wrong. But what is so satanic is the way people are trying to turn it around and profile the Kalenjin community. Why was Tuju naming the 4 cabinet secretaries that are from the Kalenjin community in the cabinet? The cabinet is a Kenyan cabinet to serve all Kenyans. Those members of the cabinet who come from the Rift Valley do not serve members of the Rift Valley alone. They serve the entire nation, Kenya. So really, let us stop trying to profile the Kalenjin community, and let us stop trying to look away of bringing the Deputy President into utterances that were not made on his behalf, were made by individuals who are over 18 and made on their own, in their own personal capacity.
Okay, fair enough. But some would ask this tonight, and Oscar Sudi, it is believed, is inclined towards the Tanga wing of the Jubilee Party, of which we've also seen you involved with in terms of its activities. How do we ensure that such utterances are not made moving forward? For example, tonight I'd be keen to hear, have you called Oscar Sudi personally? Have you expressed your sentiments to him personally? Have you sort of come to an agreement? Have you made it clear to him how you feel about those utterances?
Wahiga, I called Oscar Sudi yesterday. I was with him at a funeral in his constituency, and 30 minutes after we parted, I saw his clip on social media, and I called him immediately, and I told him that was wrong. He had overstepped. He had used words that are not right, and I would say I did speak to him. But Wahiga, why are we trying to say that Oscar Sudi or Ngeno spoke on behalf of the Deputy President? One thing I would ask, who does Merada speak on behalf of? Who was Tobiko speaking on behalf of when he called the Deputy President clerk? we really need to accept that. Was Babu Owino, when he insulted the president, was he speaking on behalf of Raila Odinga?
I think the concern for many Kenyans tonight is not who spoke on behalf of who, but the content. And I think we might lose the plot
No, it's not the content. The way this narrative is being driven, Wahiga, is that everybody is trying to say that it is okay for Murathe to abuse the deputy president. It is okay for Tobiko to say the deputy president is a clerk, and those are their personal statements. But when Oscar Sudi and Ngeno make personal statements, they have been sent by the deputy president. But those, every Kenyan should be concerned of the narrative that you are trying, not you, okay, that is being driven by a certain clique that is there. But it is the deputy president who sends us to speak. I am here at Wahiga as the Deputy Secretary General of Jubilee and as the Member of Parliament for Soy. I'm not here as William Ruto. So anything I say today has nothing to do with William Ruto saying this or that. It is Caleb Kositani, the Member of Parliament for Soy.
But don't you see a challenge in that, whereas we've seen the political class hurling insults at each other in the past, but when those insults go beyond members of the political party and begin to touch on families, non-political players, don't you see why that would elicit the type of reaction it has? If we start talking, if a politician starts talking about your family members, Honorable Kositani, wouldn't you then expect an even bigger reaction? When non-political players are being brought into a discussion? I think I am
clever enough to know when somebody...
Go ahead.
I think, Wahiga, what we need to agree is that two wrongs never make a right. We've had people who have insulted the deputy president. We had statements by Oscar Sudi and Ngeno. All those statements are wrong. But I don't know why this particular statement has piqued a lot of attention, because people are trying to drag the name of the deputy president, because I think the deputy president's star has been rising day in, day out, and people have been working overnight to try and bring him down. These statements by these two individuals, members of parliament, has actually provided fodder for them, and they're chewing into it so hard, they're making it so obvious how desperate they are, and I think it is a pity for them, because that is not right. Let us think clearly as Kenyans. Let the two gentlemen carry their own cross and leave the deputy president out of this statement.
Okay, fair enough. I want to take a quick break, Honorable Kositani. I've got a few more questions for you, which I'll be posing to you on the other side, and also reading feedback. Lots of tweets that we're getting, hashtag Newsnight, and SMSs as well on our SMS line 22422. Let's take that quick break. We come back. I still have a little bit more to talk about with the Deputy Secretary General of the Jubilee Party. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for keeping it Newsnight. Hashtag is Newsnight, and of course the SMS line is 22422. We still have Caleb Kositani, Deputy Secretary General of the Jubilee Party. I have a few more questions for him. But Deputy Secretary, let me read you an SMS here that I've gotten or received from John Buddy, Chair, ODM. He says, tell Kositani no one has insulted or abused a relative of the Deputy President. Politicians must confine their verbal attacks to fellow politicians and leave families out of it. That is the concern, and he should condemn the leaders unconditionally. That's his view. Your response?
Well, I think maybe Mbadi has joined the show late. Honorable Mbadi has just tell him that I have condemned the statements and the utterances of both the members of parliament, and I think we should leave it as such.
We should leave it as such. Okay. Let me ask you this. We recently saw the Deputy Party Leader of the Jubilee Party, William Ruto, in an exclusive interview with Joe Ageyo, talking about a party, and of course you're the Deputy Secretary General of that party, that has been taken over by brokers, conmen, and busybodies. Tonight, in your view, what is the state of the Jubilee Party?
Well, it's good that you had my Secretary General on the show, and I don't know, let me just say one thing, Wahiga, if you allow me. I don't know why Tuju was not uncomfortable with having me on the other side of the show. I have no problem at all with Tuju being, I also learned that Tuju was on the show just when we began, and I have no problem at all with that, because you have acted professionally. But let me say this, that the Jubilee Party is not operating like as a political party as it now. We are actually not operating as a ruling political party. We are in total disarray, and we blame it on ourselves, because we really can't blame anybody. It is upon us, the party leadership, to put the houses in order. We are hoping that very soon we should have a proper PG meeting where we shall deliberate on issues and agree on how we shall push our party forward. I had the SG there say that he's organizing, that we are busy organizing the party. Well, I don't know where he's doing it from, because first of all, we have no access to the party headquarters. It has been barricaded. It's like it's an armory or a military zone. So we don't know, how do you reorganize a party without involving the 174 elected members of parliament and the 28 elected senators and the governors and over 800 MCAs who are elected on a Jubilee party, and even some of those nominated. So really, we need to look into ourselves as a party and really agree, do we really need to move forward this way, or it is time for us to sit down as Jubilee and reorganize our party?
When we saw some members of the Jubilee party assembling in a new location called Jubilee Asili, could that also have fanned the flames?
No, the flame was already there. The reason why we established the office called Jubilee and named it Jubilee Asili is because we have nowhere to sit and discuss party issues as members of parliament. The Jubilee headquarters, and I am on record as saying, has been taken over. We are, the building I think is about 7 floors. We are occupying 3 floors. 4 floors are occupied by people who are foreign to the Jubilee party, but the Jubilee party is paying 100% rent. We don't know who those people are. We have said this before, and remember, whenever we note and speak about corruption, let us take action immediately. If we had taken action about the corruption in Jubilee, we would not have had the KEMSA scandal that is so massive, so shameful, so degrading to us as a nation in Kenya. So really, let us sort out the issues that are in Jubilee, as we sort out also the issues in KEMSA about theft of public funds.
What does the future look like, in your view, for the Jubilee party? And this is a question I've asked you before, but tonight more than ever before, many believe that Jubilee is at a point of no return, that unless urgent measures are taken, the center can no longer hold, for lack of a better word or phrase.
The future of Jubilee is bleak, but we are determined to get it back on track, because we formed Jubilee not because we wanted power. We formed Jubilee because we wanted to get rid of tribal politics. We wanted to get rid of small tribal parties. We wanted to get rid of tribal kings. We wanted to bring all Kenyans, like-minded Kenyans, into one huge political party, whereby no matter how small your tribe is, your idea matters, and if you are suitable to run as a presidential candidate, you will run on a Jubilee ticket and have the backing of all the communities that have come up in the Jubilee party. It is sad that now we are being taken back, whereby we need to start going to tribal. We need to have a king for Rift Valley, a king for Nyanza, a king for Western Province, a king for Central Kenya. That is not the Kenya we want. That is not the Kenya that the young generation, that the hustler nation, the people who are living from hand to mouth want. They want a leader who will propel this country forward, irrespective of his tribe, irrespective of his background. And that is the party Jubilee, that is the reason why we formed Jubilee. And we really are determined to take Jubilee back on that track. And we are going to do it, my friend. We will pray to God. We will ask our membership to be with us and support us. And we ask our president to find time to call us for a sitting whereby we will deliberate on Jubilee issues.
As an influential party leader in your own right, and as a Deputy Secretary General, or as an influential member of the party rather, and Deputy Secretary General of the party, what role will you play in ensuring that some of the utterances that we've seen over the last couple of days don't happen again? I asked you this question earlier, didn't get a clear response. What promises do we have that we won't be seeing things like this moving forward, because some sort of politicking has begun as it had been interrupted by COVID-19?
You see, Wahiga, what we need to do, and I said that today at a function, a funeral where we had in my constituency today, that we need His Excellency the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, whom we voted for overwhelmingly, and his deputy, to go on a retreat, the two of them, and strike a formula of how we're going to work from now up to the election time of 2022. They should not discuss about who to support in 2022. We just want them to create a formula, a working formula, because it is the problem that we have in Jubilee is between the supporters of the president and the supporters of the deputy president. So really, we need them to clear the air. Which way Jubilee? It really hangs in the hands of the president and the Deputy President to give us a way forward, because we cannot continue the way we are. As you say, as you asked about assurance of such utterances not occurring again, I am holding a microphone now. I will control what I say. I ask all leaders, whenever you hold a microphone, think about Kenya. Do not involve our mothers in our political disputes. Let us control our anger. And if you feel, I mean, I remember there is always a story that if you feel angry and you want to say something, fill your mouth with a glass of water and don't swallow it, and hang on for a while. So I tell all politicians, let us exercise restraint. Let us respect the presidency. And the presidency is William Ruto and his boss, Uhuru Kenyatta. And I can tell you we have a lovely country and we will move forward.
Some might say that that is wishful thinking. What sort of consequences should there be for Jubilee Party members, for example? Should we see such statements or hear such statements again? What would you want to see? I think we shouldn't speculate on seeing such statements again. Those who have spoken have learned. They are going through, Ngeno is going through a court process. I think nobody else should repeat that. And I think we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves as leaders to really exercise restraint, both sides. Let us respect the president. Let us respect the deputy president and their families. Okay, I think that's where we are going to leave it right now. I believe we do have a little bit of feedback that we should be able to put up on the screen for you. And then we wrap up the discussion that we've been having with Caleb Kositani, who is the Deputy Secretary General of the Jubilee Party. Let's see what we have right now. Okay, do we have that up? We should be having that up on the screen shortly. Okay, let's see. Eric Twibi. Let's see if we can put that back on. Okay, so we're getting this on Twitter. Eric Twibi saying, it all zeroes down to self-serving interests. Kila Mwambangoma, Ngozi Huivuta Kwake. Okay. That's one. Another tweet here. This one is from Stan Mogi. We must be free, not because we claim freedom, but because we practice it. Okay, some of our viewers being very philosophical tonight. Very interesting. And let's see one more. Javan 10 says, 2 wrongs can never make a right. Politicians must desist from making divisive utterances just because one of them said something close to it. Something is a wrong? I can't quite see that last part there. Apologize for that. All right, Momanyi Robin saying, it's unfair for anyone to associate the DP with the statements made by elected leaders speaking their minds. I believe the DP is able to speak for himself if and when he wants to. Okay, I don't think, okay. Klaus Opino says, the war in Jubilee is so funny to some of us. We are spectators. It was a long time coming. Okay, those are some of the views there. Honorable Kositani, thank you so much for your time and for making time for us on Newsnight. And of course, to all our viewers who've taken time to be here, to watch, to tweet, to send SMSs, asante sana. None of this would have been possible without you. That's how we wrap up this discussion, even as we endeavor on Newsnight every Tuesday to ask tough questions to all leaders about what they're doing for this country, but also what is happening within the democratic space as well. On behalf of the whole team that's made this possible, my director, Robert, today, and of course, our sign language interpreter, Yulan Zale, thank you so much for having tuned in. Remember, we can keep engaging online, #Newsnight, SMS line 22422. Have a good night. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.